DC News Now at noon. A string of racist text messages sent out days after the election. How people in the DMV are responding.
It's been 2 years and there's still no suspects or arrests in the murder of 13-year-old Jays Agnew. I'll tell you how his family is keeping his legacy alive.
And that fall-like feel returns. Meteorologist Damon Matson has your forecast. Goose on the loose in Montgomery County. How this animal found himself in a sticky situation. And baking up love for Navy football.
This whole thing is filled. Now there's 4 left.
We'll introduce you to the mom who's sending her support all the way to Annapolis.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Tosin Fakile. Mark Hall has the day off, and we start off with some disturbing news. Racist text messages like this one referencing slavery being sent to black people, including middle schoolers across the country. And now the FBI and other agencies are looking into the disturbing anonymous messages sent just days after the election. DC's Attorney General and other agencies condemning these racist messages. I went to get some reaction from people in the district about these messages.
As a black man, I'm just sad to see that we're like going back to the past. You know, it's just we're trying to make a better tomorrow and starting with today.
And going backward is something Sean Hogard says the black community is not doing as he reacts to the racist messages. If you haven't seen the message, here's some of the verbiage. It says in part, you have been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation. And it ends with, anyone who runs away or doesn't show up will be killed. People reported receiving these messages in several states.
It's like, why can't we just move forward? You know, why? It's not funny.
The FBI says it's aware of these messages and is in contact with the Justice Department and other federal authorities on this matter. Hogard says the texts are a distraction and his message, be above the racism.
Work on more gaining unity and just lead by example. Michelle Obama, you said, you know, they aim low, we go higher. That's all we got to do. We got to be the bigger community.
Attorney generals for D.C., Maryland, and Virginia asking people in our region who receive the message to report it to their individual office of Civil Rights Division. You can find information about how to report these messages on our website, dcnewsnow.com. And these messages raising questions like who is sending them and how are they finding just information of black men, women, and students across the country. The timing of the message also raises eyebrows coming just days after the election. We will continue to follow this developing story and keep you updated on air and online. All right, coming up on 12:03, let's check in with meteorologist Damon Matson for a check of our forecast. And Damon, it feels good to feel cooler air again.
All right, I was wondering how you thought about it because, oh yeah, the last 2 days have been another level of warmth. Again, setting records across parts of the DMV when we hit the 80s. But today it is much cooler. However, to get that cooler air to roll on in, we've had to have some breezy winds that are still going out there. And with how dry it has been over the last several weeks, that raises a concern for wildfires and wildfire spread. So we have a red flag warning across a good chunk of the DMV here in this magenta color. This does include the district and surrounding counties around the Beltway. So just a heads up, this red flag warning stays in place until 6 p.m. Just something to note and take caution if you are out and about with any sort of ember or open flame. And there are those winds. Again, not the windiest we've ever been, but we are seeing steady wind speeds, 10 to 20 miles an hour, gusts up to 30, and that would be more than enough to quickly spread any sort of fire that gets going. So we'll have those breezy winds, but we also have very sunny skies, and those temperatures have taken a small step back, but we'll still see highs reaching the lower 70s. That's still 10 degrees cooler, though, than we've had over the last couple of days. Now, we're not done dropping these temperatures. We'll talk about how much more chilly it could get later on tonight, and we'll talk about our next chance of rainfall, which is coming soon, all in your full forecast here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. We'll check in with you soon. 12:04. It's been 2 years since a 13-year-old boy lost his life after being shot in front of his home while raking leaves in Prince George's County. His case remains unsolved, but his family turning their pain into purpose with a new foundation. DC News Now's Yamari Sase sat down with his mother to learn how they're working to make a difference.
2 years later, and there's still no suspects or an arrest in the murder of 13-year-old Jace Agnew. But despite that, his family is keeping his legacy alive by making a difference in the lives of at-risk youth.
Ever since then, it's been action for me. That is what has helped me to deal with the grief of losing Jace.
Well, it's been 2 years, and 13-year-old Jace Agnew's mother, Juanita, is still heartbroken.
I'm doing well today, and then something happens because there are different triggers, different things that remind me of Jace and remind me of how cruel the world can be.
Jace was shot in front of his home in Temple Hills while he was raking leaves in November 2022. He died days later, and police still haven't made any arrest.
The fact that they still, are looking into the case and trying to find different lens and look at different perspectives, it gives me hope.
Despite not having closure, his family is taking action and making a difference in many ways. Their most recent endeavor, the Jace Agnew Foundation. The goal? To help transform the lives of at-risk teens through mentorship, educational support, and community outreach.
It's a space where you can go and learn life skills to help you to think of other things instead of crime. I didn't get to see him develop into a young man. And that is important for me for healing, that although I wasn't able to do it for my son, I will be able to do it for other children.
Juanita says she wants to keep Jace's legacy alive.
What keeps me going is the fact that I am able to tell his story and he isn't able to.
The family's hosting a gun violence awareness walk in honor of Jace on Saturday at Benjamin Southern Middle School. For more information on the walk or the foundation, you can visit DCNewsNow.com. Reporting in Upper Marlboro, I'm Yamari Sase, DC News Now.
Yamari, thank you. New at noon, the charred remains of a Prince George's County school bus. Take a look at your screen. Fire and Rescue say the bus was fully engulfed in flames at about 9 this morning. It happened at 4th Avenue and Drexel Street in Lewisdale. Officers we spoke to say the cause is unknown, but the fire started in the back of the bus. Neighbors reacting to this news.
It was a surprise, thinking, okay, maybe the bus is old, something went bad. My next door neighbor called me about 9:15, says, hey, come outside, you got to see this. And I walked out and I saw the bus on fire down the street.
Officials say all students and drivers were evacuated. Thankfully, no one was injured. DC police have arrested a 16-year-old boy for allegedly attacking a man at a McDonald's in Northwest. That attack being investigated as a possible anti-gay hate crime. It happened on October 27th. Police say Thomas Lazaro was crossing 14th and U streets after leaving a gay bar. Once inside the McDonald's, a woman told him to watch where he was going. Then a group of people allegedly used homophobic slurs towards Lazaro. Video shared on social media shows one person beating Lazaro outside the restaurant. On Tuesday, officers arrested and charged that person. Lazaro's husband says he's shaken.
It's a lot of anxiety that comes around this, as one person gets caught and then fearing that the others won't.
Police are still looking for 6 suspects in this case. And take a look at this. Fairfax County firefighters rushing to put out a fire on Stratmead Street in Virginia overnight. The flames are seen ripping through a detached garage, shooting several feet into the air. Just unbelievable video there. Officials say the fire was also getting close to the home and nearby homes. No word on the cause of the fire. Crews say no one was injured. And also new at noon, something you could call a wild goose chase in Montgomery County. Look at your screen. Montgomery County Fire and Rescue assisting in a goose rescue. You can see the animal stuck in a tree on the left of your screen. Officials say a passerby noticed the goose in distress. And on the right, you see fire and rescue crews climbing over the fence and coming to the rescue. Now, this rescue ending happily. Crews trapping the goose and getting it out of the tree. Thankfully, it was not hurt. Love to see it. 12:09, President-elect Donald Trump has chosen his chief of staff. His campaign manager, Susie Wiles, will fill that role. Wiles will be the first woman to hold the position. She spent most of her political career in Florida and has been widely credited for leading Trump's campaign to victory while, for the most part, staying out of the spotlight. And now, 3 days after the election, there might be a clearer picture of a winner in Maryland's 6th congressional race. Democrat April McClain Delaney is starting to pull ahead of Republican Neil Parrott. She is now more than 4,000 votes ahead, with 87% of the ballots counted as of last night. Maryland election officials say the final tally could come late next Friday. The Board of Elections says a candidate can file for a recount if the vote difference is under 5%. And the return of President-elect Trump to the White House could push Virginia politics into the national spotlight. There's speculation Governor Glenn Youngkin could join his cabinet. If Youngkin leaves the governor's mansion before his term is up a year from January, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears would be sworn in as the country's first black female governor, a move political analysts say would benefit her because she's already running to replace Youngkin in next year's election.
Gives her a leg up on anyone who wants to challenge her because she gets to act gubernatorial, right? She'll be the one at the ribbon cutting. She'll be the one offering speeches and comments. She'll be the one sparring with the legislators about what her agenda is and what their agenda is.
And political analyst Rich Marr, you just heard from, also says a role in the Trump White House would allow Youngkin to stay in the political spotlight, buying him time to consider another run for office. And Virginia Congressman Jerry Connolly, who was just reelected Tuesday, says he has throat cancer. The 11th District Representative posting on social media he plans to immediately undergo chemo and immunotherapy. He says he's confident his treatments will be successful. We wish Connolly good luck as he goes on. The 2 high schools in Arlington, Virginia, increasing security after a former student at Yorktown High School is accused of trespassing last week. Wakefield High and Washington Liberty High School will start requiring students to show ID before entering the building. Yorktown High School started this policy Wednesday. Arlington Public School says the ID can be a school-issued one with a picture and student view accounts. The school districts also say students can use government-issued IDs, including driver's licenses. And the Assistant Director of Safety for APS tells DC News Now the safety and security of our students and staff is our priority. After every incident that occurs, we debrief and determine any necessary steps to enhance safety and security, end quote. Right now, it's unclear if the added security measures will be permanent.